you cannot express what you want to express. What you want to express is I prefer S conditioned by the fact that T is false, and I prefer S bar conditioned by the fact that T is true. But you are not given the possibility to express that.
Well, given the fact that, let's say you're one of the first two voters and you know the preferences of the other voters.
Yes, in that case you can make a game theory model of that. This is an important point. But even if you know them and if you don't exactly know how they will behave, I mean you still have. But this is actually both votes are honest. I mean, voting for S and voting for S bar both are honest. Other questions? So I said that I would not spend more than 5 minutes on that, and I already did spend more than 5 minutes. So I'm not going to give any details about the different solutions. This important problem of voting multiple referenda, of voting on combinatorial domains, has received a number of classes of solutions, Each has some benefits and some problems. And there are now quite many papers on that, and there will be others. And this is really a difficult and important problem. And I would say the message in brief is that we have to make a trade-off between three things. The first thing is the quality of the result. We see that on the example before, we had a result of very bad quality. We decided to build the swimming pool with tennis court. The second thing is the quantity of the interaction between the voters and the central authority. If we ask the voters to spend years in specifying a ranking over 2 power n alternatives where n is large, they won't do it. I mean, it's okay. That's nonsense. Okay, so that's the second criterion. We should have limited interactions between the voters and the central authority. And the third issue is computational complexity. We should not be too difficult to compute the outcome. Probably the most important are the first two. Okay, so I'm not going to give details about the classes of solutions, but if anyone is specifically interested in that, we can talk. Okay, now let's talk about strategic behavior. Okay, so this is an example that we've seen before, that we've seen maybe half an hour ago. We use Pareto method, okay, and we have 17 candidates, and we've seen that here, if we vote like that, then first round C is eliminated, and the second round B is elected, because he has more votes than B. Now, if among these 8 voters, 2 decide to change their vote, and instead of voting A, B, C, they vote C, A, B. Okay? So their true preference is that one. I mean, they really believe that they really prefer A to B and B to C. But they're going to vote differently. They're going to vote C, A, B. And if they do that, then the first round, B is now eliminated, and in the second round, A is elected, because A against C has 6 plus 11 votes against 6. So now A is elected, and their true preferences are these ones. You know, they prefer A to B and B to C. So they know that if they vote C, A, B, A is elected, but if they vote A, B, C, then B is elected. So what do they prefer to do? They prefer to vote C, A, B. So they prefer to cheat in some way. They prefer to declare a vote that does not correspond to their true preferences. Okay? That is called a manipulation. Is it specific to that rule? Actually, the answer is no, actually. Do you think that there are rules that cannot be manipulated? Actually, this is a very negative theorem. Probably even more negative than our theorem. If we have at least 3 alternatives, any rule that is surjective in the sense that for every candidate there is a profile for which this candidate will be elected, this is a very weak condition, okay, is manipulable for some profiles. Okay? Sorry, and non-dictatorial. Okay? So every rule that is non-dictatorial and surjective is manipulable for some profiles. Means that there will be some cases where some voters will have an incentive to manipulate. This is a very negative result. And again, so remember we talked about ways of escaping our theorem. So again, I mean, there are ways of trying to escape our satisfactory theorem, but it does not really allow us to escape. Of course, if we assume single peak in nest, then it works. For single peak preferences, then if we want to output the Condorcet winner, there is no way of manipulating. There is no incentive to manipulate. But again, single peak preferences are it's a very demanding restriction. And another way of and this is again where computer science has a role to play. Another way not of escaping the theorem but trying to avoid it a little bit is the following line of reasoning. Okay, take voting rule. There will be profiles for which some voters have an incentive to manipulate. But maybe this manipulation will be hard to compute. And if we can prove that for a given voting rule, the problem of computing manipulation is NP hard, then we have some reasonable expectation that voters may give up trying to manipulate because they know that it's difficult. Okay, so this is the line of reasoning. This line of reasoning is debatable, but for a moment, let's adopt it. So we are in a case here where computational complexity has a positive flavor. We look for high complexity results. Okay? We look for hard problems. The harder the manipulation problem, the better it is. It's a little similar as what happens in cryptography. We look for protocols that are computationally hard to break. So the formal manipulation problem is this one. So the voting rule is fixed, and the input is a vote R, which is the preference relation of the voter. Okay? Then a set of candidates, distinguished candidates that we want to see elected, and the votes of the other voters. So we assume, it means that we assume that the manipulator knows the votes of the others. If it is hard, even in that case, where the manipulator knows the votes of the others, of course it will be even harder if he doesn't know the votes of the others. So we focus on that very simple assumption where the manipulator knows how the others are going to vote. And the question is it possible for sorry, what did I say? Okay, sorry, so I made a mistake. Okay. So okay, here we consider the coalition of manipulation problem, which is that we don't have one manipulator, but we have a set of manipulators. And the question is, so these manipulators know how the non-manipulators vote, and the question is it possible for these manipulators to cast their votes such that the candidate they want to see elected is elected? So here's the first example. So we want to know if manipulating the border rule by a single manipulator is easy or not. And then we will consider several manipulators. So first, in this first example, there is a single manipulator. Okay? So we have 4 voters who do not manipulate. Okay? These are the non-manipulators, and these are their votes. Okay? So we can compute the current border scores from these votes. Okay? So we get we compute the border scores, and we get these. Okay? So it means that we don't need the profile anymore. We have these are the border scores, and then you have one more voter, which is you, and you have to cast a vote. And let me ask the question: so can you vote in such a way that A will be the winner? And then we ask the same question for the other candidates. Okay, so I think a little bit, it's not difficult. Okay, so can the last voter, the manipulator, vote in such a way that A is elected? Okay, so far the scores are 10, 10, 8, 7, 5. Okay, so can you vote so that A is elected? This is easy.
Yes.
Yes, of course. How do you do? Just rank A first, and that's enough. Okay, so A would have 14, and maybe I don't know. You do whatever you want. Okay. Let's do that once. A is elected. Can you make sure that B is elected? Of course. Okay. Can you make sure that C is elected? Okay, so now it becomes a little bit more difficult. So can we think of an algorithm, a more systematic algorithm for making sure that a given candidate is elected? So we want to make C elected. So first we run C first, okay? Yes. So yes, and breakpoint. And then who are we going to rank second?
The one that has the smaller number.
Yes, then we start from the end, okay? So we rank second this one, and then that one, and then that one, okay? And C is elected. What about D?
Oh.
So we use the same algorithm. So we give 4 points to D, that's 11, and then 3 to E, and then 2 to C, and we have 1 here and 0. So this will depend on the targeting priority. Okay, so maybe yes, maybe no. It depends whether B has priority over D or not. Can we elect E? No. Okay. And so this algorithm, which is rank first the candidate you want to see elected, and then rank all the candidates starting by the one with the least border score. This algorithm works. Actually, it is an algorithm for complete manipulation for border for a single manipulator. It works in the way. So the conclusion is that for a single manipulator, manipulating the border rule is computable. It can be done in polynomial time. Now, what about two manipulators? So, let's do it. So, we have now 6 candidates, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F. And the scores, so 12, 10, 9, 9. And 4. Okay. These are the partial bonus scores, but then we have 2 new voters who come, so I need 2 volunteers. 2 volunteers? Yes, 1, 2. Okay. Okay, so I want you to cooperate, I mean, without thinking too much, okay, to make sure that that E is elected, okay? Okay, so you have to vote, okay? So you have to vote to express a vote, okay? So who are you ranking first? You. Okay. Sorry, that's 5 and 5. 6 on the table. Okay, total score is 14 now. Second, don't think too much. F? Why? Why C?
Show that they both have the same value.
But because you thought too much. Yeah. If you do that with less intelligent people than you, they don't do like that. They say, yeah, they apply the algorithm a little bit naively, and they say D and D. Okay. But maybe if you do that, I'm not sure it works. But assume that you do that, and so that's. Oh no, of course, no, you can't do that, of course. Wait, can't do that. Yes, you can do that. You can do that because so that's 14. But we have a tie-breaking priority and A, B, C, D, E. No, so we can't do that. Okay, no, okay, so definitely okay. So we can't do that. So you have to do that. Okay. So next step.
I will give B.
Okay. So you vote for
B.
B. Why?
Yeah, because at present C and D is 2.
Yeah. This is where you are thinking too much. Yeah. If you do that, it will work. But you could also say, okay, I'm going to put my 2 here. This, oh no, this, no, sorry. Yeah, this doesn't, yeah, you're right, okay. You put your 2 here. Okay.
We basically follow the same algorithm as before.
Yeah, we follow the same algorithm as before. Yeah, but yeah, wait, yeah. Not exactly, because we have to take into account the fact that we never go above 14. Okay? So if you put a 2 here, and what about the other 2? Let's put it here.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's the
Use my typewriter.
I'm using the keyboard.
What a mistake. Usually it works. Maybe is there a mistake in the Yeah, okay. Okay, let's change the tie-breaking priority. Assume that the tie-breaking priority is E, A, B, C, D. Okay. So in that case, so we can. If we apply the algorithm as before, here we can put 3 and 2. Okay, so that would be 14. Then we can do the same, so that would be 14.
Wait.
1. No, that's 1.
So we can apply the.
Jérôme,
Yes?
is it possible to make E bigger?
Wait. Okay, there's something wrong with my slide. Normally, the example should be that if you apply the greedy algorithm, it fails, but there is a solution.
So if we put the first 2 4s at C and D,
So the last guy should get
so
0,
we
right?
get 13. So
So
the first 4s on C and D.
the maximum score is 5.
Oh, 0 is possible.
Yeah. So Jérôme, what if
This is the
A
way to
gets
solve
to 0 votes and B gets to 1s?
He gets. So we should get. Everybody should get 13. So there should be 1 plus 0 here.
Right.
And then there should be 1 plus 2. Okay, so that's 13. That's 13. And then there should be 3 plus, there's another 2, so there should be 3 plus 2 and 3 plus 1. So it means that,
Plus 0.
If we
oh yeah,
take,
there's another 0, okay.
one of the fours has to go on either C or D.
No, the 4 goes there, go there.
Instead of the 3, I'm
3
applying
plus, sorry about that. Oh yes, okay. We do that. 1 plus 0 and 3 plus 0. We do that. And then we have 2
Wrong one.
plus, no, we still have 1, 3 plus 1. Okay, so that's again 13. And then we have
2 plus 1.
and then 2 plus 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, you see. Okay. So the example was correct. So you see that it is not easy. Okay. So I mean there is no hope of using a greedy algorithm as we did with a single manipulator. So the message is for 2 manipulators or more. It is not easy, and actually this problem was open for a long time. For a long time it was open whether the manipulation of border rule by 2 voters or more was polynomial or NP-hard, and it turns out to be NP-hard. Okay, so we have a problem here such that, I mean, if we have a single voter, that manipulation is in P, and for a coalition of at least 2 voters, it is NP-hard. And so we have now many results about so considering different voting rules and different assumptions of number of manipulators, and we have tables which say whether for which number of voters voting